and pretty much on my tail, apparently, because when I told my mom what happened and my dad what happened, my dad came from from upstairs, my mom came from the kitchen. They met me in the hallway because I was screaming, mommy, daddy, help me, something to that nature. And when they came and I told them what happened, I heard a voice behind me say, that's not true. And that's when I realized he had followed me home. So he was a boyfriend of a family member. So, you know, it was nothing for him to walk into my house. And, yeah. So when I told him what happened and he said that I was lying, well, they believed him. And they apologized to him on my behalf. So, you know, I know the crushing feeling to be violated, you know. Whew. Finally, I made it. Sorry I am late, and excuse the gamer headset. I had to borrow my Honey Bunny's headset because apparently I'm having some what do you call that, equipment technical difficulties. Yeah, we're gonna say that. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Wow, I haven't been live in a while, and I've never been live on this platform. Usually I go live on YouTube, but I am moving away from that channel, and I'm starting a new brand, starting a new channel. I'm on to bigger and better things, newer things. So I just want to come up here and introduce myself because I know that I'm new to everyone. I don't have any of my old followers on this page. So thank you for tuning in. With that said, who the hell is Nevaeh, right? Well, I guess my story would have to start where the previous individual, who I used to be, ended. And that was on March 8th, I believe, of 2014. So it's a sensitive matter. So I'm going to just let you know right now, be prepared. It's not something easily heard, but it's still my story, and it's the only one that I have, so I have to tell it, right? So on March 8th of 2014, my then husband was asleep, and it was a beautiful sunny day. He worked nights, so he came home, you know, in the morning time. So it was such a beautiful day. I didn't want to spend it in the house waiting for him to wake up, which was going to be hours, you know, from then. So I decided to take a walk, a short walk, to my homegirl's beauty salon where she worked. And when I walked up to her place, she was in she was in distress because the dress that she had ordered for her wedding, which was to be like less than 5 days later, if I'm not mistaken, had not yet arrived. She had ordered it online from China somewhere. So I suggested that she go to the place where I got my dress from. It was a beautiful dress. The price was absolutely amazing, and they had a whole lot of dresses to choose from. So she agreed. So I told her, I said, well, listen, come back to my house, like drive me to my house. So let me get my pocketbook and, you know, so I can have my money with me in case I may want to buy me a little something, right? So while we were driving the two blocks, which are very short, two short blocks, the then husband, he called me. And that was odd because, one, I left him asleep, and two, he shouldn't have been awake because I left him asleep, right? He's been awake all night. So I was immediately alarmed when I saw his number come up on my caller ID, so I answered it. And he asked me where I was. I told him where I was, letting him know that I'm on my way because of whatever I was about to do. And I noticed that, like, he was nervous in his voice. So I'm like, is everything okay? And he was like, yeah, you know, I just woke up in panic because you weren't here. Immediately I sensed BS because, like, why would you panic? Because I'm not there. Just call me and ask me where I am, right? So neither here nor there. I just brushed it to the side. I figure I'm going to be home shortly. So, you know, whatever's going on, I'll deal with it then. So I go into the house, and when I see him, he's pacing back and forth, which is odd because I've never known this man to ever pace. I'm the pacer. I'm the one that paces back and forth. He doesn't pace, okay? So when I asked him, I said, "What's going on? Is everything all right? I'm getting a bad feeling now, And he, tried to assure me that everything was fine. And I'm like, okay, so why are you pacing? What's going on? He said he effed up, and I'm like, well, what did you do? He said I effed up. I'm like, well, did you kill somebody? He said no. I said, well, is somebody after you? Like, did you hurt somebody and they're coming back for you or something? He said no. I said, well, hell, just like, did you steal from somebody? Like, are you, like, is the cops looking for you or something like that? He said no. I said, okay, well then fine. You didn't murder nobody. You didn't steal from anybody, and everything else is answered. Everything is okay, fine. Whatever it is, I'll deal with it when I get back. Your girl is going shopping. This is my idea. Like, I got to go shopping. My homegirl is in distress. She needs her wedding dress. Whatever's going on with him can wait till I get back. So I thought. Well, after I gathered up my things and asked again, made sure that he was okay and that it was nothing dire or very major, I bid him farewell and I proceeded to go back towards the car, which was parked on the other side of the street from my house. So I get in the car and I sit down and I'm getting myself together, situating myself, and I put my seatbelt on and she asks me, I'm still looking down, by the way, I'm not even paying attention to her or anything past my pocketbook, and my private area space. So she asks, why are the cops at my house? And I thought that's what she said, but I wasn't sure that's what I heard. So I just looked up and I looked at her, and then I followed her direction, and lo and behold, the two police officers are standing in my gate, and my then husband is standing there talking to them. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, I just left the house. Nobody is sick. Hell, nobody's even home except for him and I. And, and my older sister, who was fine moments ago. Like, nothing should have happened to her. The cops would have came that quick is what I'm saying, So I'm now becoming alarmed. So I jump out the car, get across the street, and I stand next to my then husband. And they're asking him for his ID. And I am like wondering why they're asking him for his ID when he's already in his house. Like, you don't come to somebody's house asking them for ID when they're already where they belong. So he had said, I don't have it with me. No, I don't have one. So my dumb behind is thinking, he means that he doesn't have it on his persons, that he's going to go downstairs, or something else is going to happen, right? Like, I'm going to get more information eventually. So they ask him again, he says it again. They ask him again, and he says it again. And now I'm like, why the hell isn't this man just going downstairs? Like, why are they even here? That was my first initial, like, why are you here? So I asked the officer, I said, why are you even here? I don't even know what's going on. So they asked me who I was, and I expressed that I was his wife. Okay, so that was all fine and good. But the questioning still, like, was never answered. They asked him his name, and I'm wondering, why is he not answering them? So one of the cops, he just got so fed up, and he was like, I was trying to be nice, I was trying to spare your wife from hearing this, but since you want to play games and since you want to act stupid, do you really want me to let her know that we are here to arrest you for rape? Now tell us your name. I immediately said his name. And after I said his name, I don't even know really what happened after that, because everything is a blur. Like, my husband is accused of rape. Raping who? Like, when could he have found the time to do this is what I'm thinking. But most importantly, why? Like, what's going on? I'm so confused. Well, long story short, he was arrested and had admitted to raping a minor who was in my care. And later on that night, I subsequently found out that he was also molesting my youngest daughter, and had been since he gotten there. And let me tell you something, that is definitely life-changing. That's an experience that I can't even describe into words. I can't. But what I can say is that my whole entire reality, it imploded. It like literally imploded, exploded, and just dissolved in front of me. Yeah, one moment I'm on my way to go shopping with one of my good friends to help her pick out a dress, and in the next moment my marriage ended. Not only did my marriage end, but life as I knew it ended as well. And worse yet, I had to mourn the death of my husband, who is still walking the face of this planet. Because I realized, like, the man that I married, the man that I've been sleeping with for all these years, I never knew him. He didn't exist. And, yeah, that definitely takes a toll. And, I was a wreck. I was a wreck for a very long time. And I was a wreck because I had to suffer alone. I had to suffer alone because it was a choice that I had to make in order for me, and I know this may sound crazy, but it'll all come together as I continue. But yeah, I had to suffer alone because I understood from my own experiences that hurting people hurts people, right? Hurting people hurts people. So I felt like I had to protect his character because I knew him as a person. You know, the kindness, the generous, the loving side, the thoughtful side, the sensitive side. The good side, you know? I knew that about him. And I knew that he must have had to have suffered something very severely in his past as a child to have to try to use that same method to regain back the sense of power that he lost when whatever happened to him happened to him. And I say that because I was on the other side, in that when I was between the ages of 9 to 12, I was molested. So when I got older and became sexually active, you know, sex was my way of regaining back that sense of power that was lost in those years when I was being sexually abused. You know, and what made it worse for me was that the first time it happened, the very first day, I mean, even like minutes after, I ran home at 9 and told my parents, and they didn't believe me because he, without my knowing, followed me home and pretty much on my tail, apparently, because when I told my mom what happened and my dad what happened, my dad came from from upstairs, my mom came from the kitchen. They met me in the hallway because I was screaming, "Mommy, Daddy, help me, help me," something to that nature. And when they came and I told them what happened, I heard a voice behind me say, "That's not true." And that's when I realized he had followed me home. So he was a boyfriend of a family member. So, you know, it was nothing for him to walk into my house. And, yeah. So when I told him what happened and he said that I was lying, well, they believed him. And they apologized to him on my behalf. So, you know, I know the crushing feeling to be violated. And, you know, when you don't get the help, it's worse. You try to self-medicate in a way. And for me, it was weaponizing sex, you know. I never sold my body or anything like that. And I wasn't promiscuous, but yeah, I was very manipulating, you know. I pretty much got my way most of the time, so I didn't really have to do anything outrageous to get, you know, that sense of power or have that sense of control back. So I understood that something had to have happened in his past to have made him do such a horrible, horrible thing, but it didn't mean that he was a horrible person. Because like me, I've done horrible, horrible things, but it doesn't make me a horrible person. So if I feel that way about me, then I must then extend that same grace, right? That same grace onto him. But what enabled me to forgive him fully, right? What enabled me to forgive him was one day in my suffering and in my sorrows and in my pain, I had to ask myself, what could I possibly do that was so bad, so wrong, and just so evil that I would be okay with God not forgiving me for? And I couldn't think of one thing. There was not one thing I can think of that I wouldn't want forgiveness for. And when that realization, happened and I thought about it, I knew I had to forgive him. I had to forgive him. There was no way I could not. So I made a vow to God I made 2 vows to God, in fact. One, that if he helped me heal, if he somehow got me through all this, I promised him that I would do everything I could to heal, to get better, so that I can be able to help someone else who may be suffering alone. I'm telling you, that suffering alone is horrible. You may ask, why didn't I go to seek counseling? Well, that was an attempt that was made by not only myself, but also Child Protective Services, because of course when the cops got involved, I had to press charges for my little girl too. You know what I'm saying? And for my and for the child who because the child was in my house, in my home, in my care, when this happened, Child Protective Services came in and they referred me to some place. Me and the girls, we went there and the doors were locked. I kid you not, the doors were locked. I called the number to the place and I got no answer. I called the caseworker who was working with me and my family, and I got no answer. I'm leaving messages. I'm sitting there. I'm leaving messages. I'm calling. I'm leaving messages, and I'm calling. 1, I didn't want to get in trouble with the law saying that I didn't comply, and 2, I really wanted to help because I was hurting. Okay, and if I'm hurting, I could only imagine how my girls were hurting. So yeah, I had to get the help. It didn't work out. I said fine. We went to her school because she was in elementary school when that happened. My daughter went to her school. It was the principal, the vice principal, the parent coordinator, and the school para. Her and I were really cool. We were all, and myself, we were all on our respective phones trying to call places that, we were getting numbers for. And nothing. No one was willing to help me. I kid you not. I couldn't get help for Child Protective Services. I couldn't get help with the assistance of the school. I didn't have health insurance. I didn't want to involve my family because they're very judgmental. My mom was out of the country, so I couldn't even turn to her. So she wasn't an option. The only one I was able to turn to was the man I'm with today. He was my best friend then, and he had been my best friend for over a decade by then. So, he came by and he tried to cheer me up, but it didn't work. But still, having him to talk to, and without him judging me for wanting to forgive him, he didn't understand how I could. He didn't understand why I would even extend such a grace as forgiveness, but he accepted it. He really, really helped me through that, and he's been with me ever since. And so I healed, and well, I not by myself, don't get it twisted. I began working with a mentor, and with working with him and learning the things that I've learned from him and have taught other people who it's also worked for, has put me in a space today where I can even talk about this without tears forming in my eyes. I remember telling this story back in 2017 during a walkaway video that I had made on my YouTube channel, which went absolutely viral, surprising me, because before then I didn't have more than 3 subscribers to that channel, and I was one of them. And I kind of made like 2 people subscribe, so I technically had no subscribers, and I was my only viewer. So by the time that video went up, and 3 days later, I had close to 6,000 subscribers just from that video alone. So I knew from that moment on that my story was impactful. I knew from that moment on that, betterment was the only thing I can continue with, because I believed that people depended on me. People depended on my healing. People depended on my comeback. People depended on my story of a happily ever after, which is what I'm experiencing right now. People love to see not others fall, but they love to see how we rise. They love to see how we get up. They love to see how we bounce back, because it gives them hope. That's what helped me. I've listened to stories after stories after stories. I've watched movies, even though they were for entertainment purposes. I still found messages in them that I can walk away with, and I can apply it to my own life. And in doing so, did I become Nevaeh. I wasn't always Nevaeh. Hell, my name wasn't even Nevaeh, but that's what my name is now, And one thing I must say is that none of this would have taken place had it not been for a spiritual awakening that had occurred a year after, in 2015. And it was during that awakening experience that my whole entire paradigm shift. I never saw life the same again. I never knew me the way I thought that I was. I mean, I came in like a blank slate with a whole lot of questions and not enough answers. So it was at that time, they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That is true. That is truth, because my mentor appeared to me, and one conversation led to a 6-year relationship with a master and a student, me being the student, of course. You know what I'm saying? A master being a student. He truly is a master at his craft, and I owe so much to him, because, like I said, I had a lot of questions, and he never left the question unanswered. He's a really great teacher. He's helped me a lot, and with him helping me put life together, coming to understand, the activities of the spirit, which is the soul. He helped me understand consciousness and the multiple levels of it. He even introduced me to the Bible. And when I say he introduced me to the Bible, that's not to say I didn't know about the Bible. I've always known about the Bible. I knew about some of the stories into the Bible. And hell, when he even mentioned the Bible to me in the beginning, I rejected it. I said, no, I'm good. The Bible's not for me. And what he said blew me away. He said, how can the Bible not be for you when it's a book about you? And I'm like, no, it's not. I don't know what version you read, but I don't see Nevaeh nowhere in that book, And he went on to explain further, and he directed me to people that I could listen to, and books that I can read, which I've always followed his instructions and his directives, and I accidentally became a Christian. Because of it. And I say I accidentally became a Christian because through the practices of the teachings that I was learning, through the experiences that I was gaining, through the learnings, I realized that I am moving in the way that we are directed to in the Bible. I am moving in a way that is in accordance to the Bible if you want to have a particular type of result. you know. The Bible I find to be result based. You do this, you get that. You do that, you get this. You don't do this, you don't get that. You don't do that, you don't get this. It's a book. It's a book of books. One book with 66 booklets, divided in half. New Testament, Old Testament. All of these booklets are stories and events and occurrences about things that has taken place, will continue to take place, and will forever be in place. It's a book of actions and consequences, cause and effect on multiple levels of consciousness and over a vast varieties of mindsets. That's why they use trees and fruits and bushes and animals to describe all of these different mindsets and ways of thinking and ways of being. It's so vast. It's not a book, a history book, okay? It's not a book to condemn you. It's a book that says, listen, what's in this book is. Okay, this book is a book of isness. There is no getting around it. Whatever it says, that's what's going on. When it says, you shall not put no gods before me, that's because, well, you can't put nothing before God, because God is all there is. Okay, what God says is, that's what it is. You can either believe it or disbelieve it. It's up to you. And in learning the Bible and in putting the practical efforts, you know, my life has been changing. You know, my life has changed. I'm experiencing life at a magnitude that when I look in the mirror today and I look at myself, you know, I am unrecognizable. I'm unrecognizable, but in a good way, because it lets me know that I am resilient. I can endure anything, and I am a lot stronger than I've ever given myself credit for. And you really don't, another thing I've learned is that you really don't need a lot of people in your corner if you have at least one person who is not only rooting for you, but is also walking with you. And that's, you know, the love of my life. You know, I've been through so many changes. He's known me as the old individual. He knows me as the new individual, confusing the hell out of him because he says he don't know who he's working with or talking to, and because there's two of me inside of this one body, which in fact it's really just this one me. I complicated it without knowing it, but that's another video in itself. But I just wanted to come here ultimately to share my story so that you can know who I am and how I became. Nevaeh, Devansha, Trinity became, it's like the phoenix rising out of the ashes, right? I think that's the best way to say it. I became like the phoenix rising out of the ashes. You know, I didn't come out in the way that I didn't go in the way that I found myself coming out. You know, and honestly speaking, it's all been amazing. Oh, I did say I made 2 vows, right? And I didn't get to the second one. The second vow that I made, which was a big one, I didn't know how my family was going to take it, and I really didn't care how people, you know, friends took it. I didn't care about that. But the family was and my honey bunny, you know, before he and I were a couple. I didn't know how to bring this to him. But I also made a vow that upon healing, what I would do, right, to show reverence to God and gratitude to God for healing me, right? That's grace, that's favor. I would, when he gets out of prison, I would bring him to my healing place and introduce him to God so that he too can find healing. And I kept that promise. I did. When he came home, I reached out to him, and I first I told him I forgave him. You know, he doesn't need to apologize. Where there's understanding, apology is not necessary. You know, I understood. So I wanted to help him. I wanted to help him not hurt anyone else. I wanted to help him not hurt any longer. And I wanted him to be a story for other people like him, other men like him, that can find it in themselves, in their own hearts, to forgive themselves, knowing that there's a possibility that they could too be forgiven, you know. So I've accomplished that. I worked with him for a short while, and you know, when his life started, when I seen that he was now giving back to his own community, did I feel okay to just sever the relationship and break all ties? I did my part. I didn't say I was going to stay in his life. I didn't sign up for that. Because me being who I am today and not being who I was when he married me, I don't know him and he really doesn't know me. So there's no bond between us. I don't feel a sense of connection as much as I felt a sense of duty. You know, I felt a sense of duty to uphold my promise to God, because God has yet to break a promise to me. Everything I've read in the Bible, every verse in scripture I've read, not to imply that I've read every verse in scripture. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that every verse in scripture that I have read, God made promises and all those promises were kept. So I wanted to be, I wanted to start, you know, being like God. In a sense, meaning that I wanted to keep my word. I wanted to forgive who's harmed me or who I've felt hurt by. I wanted to, you know, I just want to be more like the creator, that presence that created me, you know, because I am created in the image and likeness. So I wanted to represent the, you know, that aspect of God, so that other people can find that hope, so that other people can find that healing, so that other people can find that strength, so that other people can find that reason, that purpose, just find something to want to move past the pain. And that's why your girl is here, to help you with just that. And that's what my platform is about. It's about healing. It's about connecting, because you cannot ever become a wife if you are not emotionally wealthy. You have to be emotionally wealthy. And in the absence of healing, you cannot find love. You cannot extend love. You won't be able to receive love. You can't demonstrate love. You'll be afraid to feel any type of sense of love. You'll be running away from love, the very thing that you're calling yourself. You know, you're trying to call to yourself. So, you know, this platform is all about that, and everything that I teach, everything that I share, everything that I know is all scripture based, whether I are cited or not. It's scripture based, okay? You can Google anything that I say and then write Bible verse at the end of it, and I'm sure you'll find it there. But I just wanted this to be a quick video. I didn't really want it to be long. My honey's outside standing in the cold because a friend of ours came, and I was just about to record this, so I don't want to keep him outside any longer. I need my man inside so I can get him warmed up, you know what I'm saying? So with that said, listen, check out my other platforms. I'm going to put a picture up in a bit that'll follow this video, so that, you know, you can see what I'm talking about when I say follow my other platforms, right? So with that said, until next time, my love and light, stay magically delicious as you become spiritually redefined and continue to grow in your greatness and step from your higher self. That was so corny, but I promise I'm going to get better as I continue to do this. I'm just trying to rush right now because, like I said, my baby's cold, I'm sure. And if he's not, well, the idea of him being outside is making me cold. So I need to warm up. So I need to get him back inside. With that said, mwah, love you. Later. Bye.